Okay, okay, yeah, okay. Back to back vest parking up over 150 like.
Girls actually try to hit this section with their dudes?
Yes. It usually happens with my brother more than anything because he knows all the girls.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm pulling up, and they'll have like 2 dudes with them. What's up, G? And my brother's like, yeah, nah, we're not doing that.
They won't come and get me. Thumbs hurting cause we touching hundreds, bitches on the way.
Hey y'all, welcome to Whiz, Babble. We're actually doing hair this time. With my good friend Asky.
Yep, 8 gang in the building.
Yes.
What up?
Go ahead, man, and just introduce yourself real quick. For people who do not know who you are.
Okay.
Let them know who you are, what you're about, and then we'll get into babbling.
Man, where do I start? It feels weird, like when you talk about what you do. Mm-hmm. Rapper, activist, brand, entrepreneur, car enthusiast. I don't know, brother, son, homie.
Yes.
All the good stuff. You know?
I love that. I love that you really went in and let them know everything that you do, because when we're talking about topics, I do like to go into like the family aspect of it. I think that's so important. So thank you.
Yeah, family's everything.
It is. Man. It is. So today we are going to get into the topic of getting paid. Mm-hmm. Getting paid as artists. Y'all know hair is just like set up to make money. People gotta go get their hair done, or at least they feel like they do, and they're gonna pay us to do their hair. You know, I feel like with music, it's not so easy.
It's not.
Okay, cool. You agree with me on that?
It's not. Like if you really do it though, you know what I mean? Like if you really do it, you'll find ways. But even then, when you find those ways, it's never easy.
Yeah.
If you're doing it yourself, it's, you know, if it's coming out of your pocket, it's a little different. But that's why it's not for everybody, you know. Right.
I mean, what do you think it really takes whenever you are choosing music to be your career? What do you really think it takes to make a living?
So, I mean, first and foremost, you have to have realistic expectations about what it is that you want out of it. Uh-huh. And you got to have a team. And that's something like that you'll hear from somebody who's really doing it. They'll tell you like it's important. It can also be, you know, even detrimental at times because a team could mess you up if you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? But you start with a team. You start with realistic expectations. You have to ask everybody, you know, what do you want out of this? Like, what's the end goal? What are we going for? You know? Right. And once you have that, everybody has to have their roles. Who's gonna be the camera guy? Who's gonna be the negotiator? Who's gonna be, you know, the one that's setting up the video shoot locations? Who's locking in with the videographer? Who's finding the cars, the models? Who's booking the studio? Who's looking for the tours? You know what I mean? Like, you have to put on multiple caps, and that's another thing too. Like, your egos have to get checked. Because you have to play multiple roles. Like, I'm obviously the front of my team and my brand, you know what I mean? But I play every role, and the homies play every role too. Like, well, because you're running a small business. Yeah, it's our, you know what I mean? It's our business. It's our money that's getting put up. So I play all the roles. Yeah, you got to play every role. That's tough, man. Like, and sometimes, you know, somebody's gonna work a little harder than the other person, but it's just what it is, you know. How long did it take me to set up this camera right now, man? 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. You're being nice. 3 minutes. But. Okay, so when did you realize that you really wanted to do music for a career? Like, you wanted to make money doing that? Because that's different, right? Yeah, a lot of people do music, but they're just like, it's hard. I'm just gonna chill and do it as a hobby and go clock in and get something that's a little easier. When were you like, nah, I'm doing this.
Probably like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I would want to say. Like, where we were actually like really like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. You know, we're locking in. We're putting the bread up. We're you know, using budgets. Like, we're putting money aside for X, Y, and Z.
Investing?
Yeah, to sum it up. Investing, and like really investing, and not just like minimal, you know, stuff, which you have to start that way though. You do have to start that way, but you don't really believe in yourself, and I say this a lot, until you really put up a fat bag, you know, like you put up a serious check, and that's how you know.
Right.
You could lose it, you know, you could lose it. You're not always gonna even recoup. Like there's some investments that, you know, we didn't see anything off of, man. There's some where,
I've been there.
yeah, you know, we lost. It looked cool, you know, it looked cool. Everybody saw it and it looked tight, you know, but we went home broke, and we're like, fuck, we got to start over again.
Now, do you feel like the clout off that investment was worth it, or do you feel like
yeah, like there's
so
takeaways.
cool?
Yeah, there's takeaways. You know, it's not necessarily a loss, like financially it was, but it always comes back. You know, like you find ways, and if you're consistently hustling, like the money's gonna come and go. It's gonna come fast. It's gonna leave fast, but it's just part of the game. You know, you got to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and that's just with trial and error and repetition and putting your bread up. Like, that's really what it is.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
Because it takes money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So was there a moment, like, was there something that happened and you and your partners were just like, yeah, we're doing this. We're gonna do this. Was there a moment, or were you just at it for a little bit of time and got a little bit of taste of success and stuff, and then was like, oh, I can do this?
Right. We just felt like we were different. We saw what everybody else was doing, and even if we didn't have, you know, like we weren't that polished yet, or we didn't have, you know, certain things that other fools had, but we're like, bro, we're so different. What we have to offer is not like everybody else's. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with us and with myself, there's no persona, you know, like 850 was already a thing before music. Mm-hmm. ASCII was already ASCII before music. We already been who we were, you know, like that's what's hard about it, is I don't have to put on a mask, you know what I mean? So we're like, dog, we're different. Like, we're already in the game. Like, we have something fresh to offer. I'm not trying to sound like anybody from anywhere else. I'm like, hey, this is the Southwest. I'm showing you where I'm from, how I live, what I do, what I've seen. And that's it. I don't want to sound like, I get inspired by other, you know, artists in different states, whatever, but I'm not trying to rap on the West Coast beat or whatever. Like, I have, you know, for features or whatever, but like, I'm not trying to sound like anybody else. I'm like, you know what, we're going to cultivate the Southwest sound. Like, we're going to stay here. We're going to give people something to be proud of here.
So I've already told my story about how, you know, I was like not even in middle school yet, planning on being an engineer because I went to this IBM camp. Mm-hmm. But what really got me to be like, oh, like I like doing this for people, I can really make money doing this, was after I decided that like, oh, this could be a career. I think I'm going to go ahead and try this instead of being an engineer, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that, I tell my friends, and I start bleaching their hair, cutting their hair, kitchen cosmetologist, full on.
Right.
And motherfuckers liked it. Even when the bleach wasn't toned and it was yellow, man, we thought we were hot shit. And there was something about me doing their hair, regardless of how it looked in the moment, because I was an amateur little kitchen cosmetologist. I was like, I started doing that at like 11, 12.
Oh, that's sick.
So I was, you know, I'm not gonna be good. That's not gonna be a thing. But there was something about me doing people's hair that they loved it.
Right.
And I would even look at my stuff and be like, oh, I cut your hair. That's my haircut. I'll never forget. I cut my homegirl's hair and was looking at school a couple days later. I thought she went to get it fixed like another haircut, and she's like, nah, girl, this is what you did. I'm like, oh, that imposter syndrome.
Right.
Once I got past that, and I just accepted that this was a little niche, I just ran with it. And at first, my payment wasn't money. Mm-hmm. I'm a kid. I'm not even really caring about that. It's not even really necessary at the time, thank God.
Right.
But it was really just go ahead and get this color and let me color your hair. Like letting me try and work and experiment. Letting me try. That was it. That was my payment. Just give me a chance. Just a chance, man.
Start with the homies, man. You know, that's really what it is. The homies got to rock with you first, you know, because it was the homies that were jamming out to my early terrible songs, and it was the homies that were rocking the shirts that would fade as soon as you threw them in the washer. You know what I mean? Like you gotta start. You have to start somewhere, and like if the homies are proud of you, and you know they're out marketing your stuff for you, just naturally, you know, like the homie. You start with the homies, and then from there it just catapults and does what it's supposed to do if you keep at it, you know, you stay with it.
Yep. Shout out to everybody who let me do their hair when I was 12. For real. I know someone's gonna see and remember that. So, do you remember the first time that you made $1 doing music?
Yes, and I'm gonna say what counted was when we like threw our first shows and when I did like my first merch runs.
Because, and why do you feel like that counted?
Because there was no like promoter, you know, like I didn't have to, because it's a thing, well, like where you'll have to go sell tickets for a promoter and break bread with them, you know, like with the home, we're like, yo, we're done, like we're over that shit. So we teamed up with the, you know, the gang, you know, and then we reached out to the venues, you know what I mean? Like we did all that. Like we booked the venue, we put the money up, like we threw our own show, we had our own marketing budget. We were outside passing out flyers on some old school shit, giving away tickets, like putting flyers on windshields, you know what I mean? Like just doing all that on top of the internet marketing, you know what I mean? So we were doing both. But like,
and it was just all profit.
Yeah, and it was all profit, and like we actually won. Like I'm proud to say like we made some bread off of it. So
hell yeah.
I'll count that, and then just like the t-shirts, you know, like when I was like trapping shirts out the whip, man, like pulling up on people, like, and I was so proud. Like I was taking boomerangs. I still have like the boomerangs of like everybody who copped those early shirts, you know what I mean? Like, so that was like real because I put up the money to get them printed, and you know it was profit. So like that, I would say like just throwing the shows with the homies, like, and selling them out too. Like we sold our shows out with no like headliner. Like I was the headliner, you know what I mean? So that's how I knew we're like, bro, we're doing this the right way. We didn't have to use nobody else's name. It was like, hey, this is a 50 party, like, we're doing this our way, like, we're gonna have the homies come through and perform, whatever, but, like, it's ours, you know? Like, we broke bread together, so I'll say that, and then everything else just kind of snowballed, you know what I mean? Like, I started, like, getting paid for verses, and, you know, I get booked to be in certain places. Just different stuff I'll promote, you know? Like, sometimes a club or whatever will pay the bag, and then we do that. But that took years, you know? It didn't just happen. Like we had to show some type of value, some type of, you know, something to make somebody want to come out their pockets. You had to put in that work. Yeah. Yep. Because nobody's just gonna hand you money and be like, oh, you look cool, here, you know, take this shit. And if you have that, then God bless you. But I don't. So
yeah. What made you want to go ahead and just go the independent route right off the bat with not much, you know? Yeah. Like what made you want to really take that risk versus trying to go and get signed?
Just being a student of the game, you know, like we were learning and meeting people and seeing, you know, how they do it, you know. We would study our favorite artists and see what they do and figure out how we could implement it in our own way, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I did the label shit too, man, and I feel like every time I get involved with a label, it doesn't work, and then we all circle back to being like, damn, we could have did it ourselves. Like we you know what I mean? Like we lost a percentage over here dealing with these niggas when we could have just did it ourselves, you know? Like we always kick ourselves over that, but all we could do really is just learn from it and apply it ourselves and, you know, back up our talk, man. So it's better to see the fruits of our labor when we know it came from us, you know? Like, like man, we did this, we put this together, you know? We got $500,000 worth of cars outside just off of our name, you know, like we put that together. Like no label did that, we put it together. At the end of the day, man, like it's that satisfactory that you get when you look at each other, you look at yourself, you look in the mirror, man, and be like, damn, like I did that, like my team did that, you know what I mean? Like I went across the country twice with my brothers, you know, like I could say that. No label, nobody funded it, like we did it.
Just the independence alone, that's priceless, you know? Right? Yeah.
It's out the mud, man. It feels great, and I feel like people value you a little more and they respect you a little more, like when they see like, man, this dude's grinding, this girl's grinding so hard, like I kind of have no choice but to support them because it's so real, you know, like it's their thing.
It makes you an asset.
Exactly.
Yes, that the asset part, like all of a sudden you've jumped these levels. So I didn't have clientele, you know, in the get-go, like nobody really does. Right. Of course, I had clientele in beauty school, but that's $6 haircuts,
right,
man.
Yeah, of course they're going to take that, yeah.
Of course, yeah. So, you know, I don't think anybody followed me for beauty school. Not once I got my license and I started charging those prices, those professional prices. And, yeah, I got paid commission, and I remember like almost the first month I worked, it was just $0 checks. Like they're just giving them to me because I'm on a payroll, you know what I mean? But nothing on them. So even though I got a little bit of bread, maybe some tips here and there in beauty school, maybe some bread in between beauty school and actually being a licensed professional, there's a little period we gotta wait to see if we pass the test or not. And maybe in between there I made a little bit of money, but I really count that first check that had a fucking actual dollar amount on it. A number. So, and commission is crazy, man. Stylists start out, we get like 20% in the very beginning. 20%. They take 80% of what we're making. And I was told that that's like a good number. So when I found a shop that was 50-50, I was like, I didn't like that either. Like clearly I love to be independent, but I really had no choice. So I totally feel that, and I feel like it is the time of music right now to be independent. Like
there's a lot of DIY right now. Just like with anything, you know, like you could find out so much on the internet, like it's at your hands, you know, like you could just figure it out. Like everything's at your disposal. Like it's so much easier to edit videos now. Like it's so much easier to make your own content. Like you could just do it yourself. Like if you really just sit down and you're like, man, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna learn this shit. Like I'm really just gonna buckle down and do this. Like you do it and then you cut expenses, you know, like unless you really need somebody, then cool, you know, pay the professional. But it's like, man, if I could learn how to do this shit myself, I'm gonna do it myself.
Yes, and of course you're talking about teams. Yeah. So within that you are paying professionals, but there's a difference in going outside of a team. I mean, maybe you have to, right? You don't have a team. Not everybody is blessed with just like a squad that really fucks with the vision. Right. A lot of people gotta get away from their squad and whoever they're around just to make their vision come true. Gotta start all over. So then you gotta go find people. But once you have an established team, it's such a blessing because it's so fucking hard. That shit is not easy. It's not easy just to find everybody who's on the same page and has the same like artistic vision. Just buying into the system too, you know, like it's hard to get multiple personalities to say, hey, this is our end goal. We're about to go for this. Like, look forward and just do it, you know, commit to it. We're not always going to see results. Like some shit is just in the air, but it's like, man, if you believe in it, then it'll work. I personally, last year I said, I'm not doing any more collaborations for like at least 2 years. I'm just going to focus on my brand and solidify it. Boom. As much as I feel like Whiz has come so far and it's grown a lot, it's still an infant. It's a baby. Like compared to my goals and where I'm going, it's just such a baby. And I feel like I was getting collaborations where it didn't make 100% sense as far as vibe and like and brand, right? Like everybody's brand is different, has a different vibe. And so I want to just get my brand to the point where people step to me and know exactly what it is. They know exactly who they're working with, and you know what you're gonna get. They know what they're gonna get from you. And I know what I'm gonna get. Yeah, like because I feel like, you know, you attract what you exude. So if you have built a solid brand and you've taken that time, you're gonna attract the people who do that too. What about like let's see, commission rates, hourly, any hourly rates in your industry? Yes. How's that go?
Well, I mean, it depends on like what you do, you know, like if you go to like how I touched on like the club thing earlier. Okay. Like if I'm promoting at a club or whatever and be like, hey, from this time to this time, you know, I'll be doing. And we're back. Sorry.
Like we never left.
I'm an amateur videographer. It's a new camera and the battery died. So you want to go ahead and go up there and show them your hair real quick?
Yeah.
Because it's cool.
I would say I look pretty sick. I don't know.
Done with it. Go, yeah.
You know what I mean? You see it, man. You see
Yes.
it. You see it. Yeah, I look great.
Okay. So we left off talking about commission, hourly rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how you feel about negotiations?
My negotiator is sitting to the left of me, one over from you. Howdy. Yeah, that's Go SB if you didn't know. But yeah.
So y'all do. So negotiations is a part of it.
Oh, it's
It's all of it.
Every day we negotiate something. We never get what we want on the first try.
It's annoying.
Yeah, it's bad. But I love it though. I learned to love it.
Okay.
You know, and it made me a better businessman because we get what we want in the end.
Good.
For sure.
Good.
Or we'll walk away.
Yeah, because I'm just over here charging what I want, and there are no negotiations. Don't try to ask me. Don't try to ask me anything. If you don't like the price, just go somewhere else. It's gonna get on my nerves. Yeah. And I talked a little about like commission in the hair industry, and there's hourly too. A lot of stylists are moving to hourly. Those are my rates. I feel like time is money, and it makes sense. With that being said, when it does come to prices, right, you have to be at a certain stature.
Yes, you have to have a value.
Yeah.
Know, something that makes people
right
want to spend their money on you.
Right.
Know?
So in my industry, we're gonna start with like I didn't have no value, no clientele, no nothing. Just fresh little hair baby. Started at commission, worked my way up to being independent, paying booth rent or whatever, and then hourly. And you definitely have to be able to do things in a certain amount of time, right? Mm-hmm. Like I can't be super slow at this and then charge an hourly rate. I feel like it just wouldn't be fair. So cool, negotiation is a huge part of what you do, and you just got to keep at it, and you've learned to love it. So since you do that and I don't, you want to talk about some keys to negotiation since you've learned to love it? What helps?
Yeah, don't put your feelings in it.
Good, you know?
You're gonna damn near get disrespected every time. You know, people want to take. You know? They want to rob you in a sense. You know what I mean? But you gotta like put less emotion into it and understand where you have leverage at. Okay. You know, leverage is everything.
Does everybody negotiate? Is that just across the board, or do people have set prices?
Some people have set prices, but you know, it's money. Like if an artist is telling me they're charging, we'll say 15,000 a feature, like, and we offer you 10, you're probably gonna take the 10. Yeah. You know, like 10,000 is 10,000. Like. Yeah. So. That makes sense. If you're you know smart and you're like, okay, yeah, this is cool, and you're gonna send it now, send it. You know. Right, for you're always gonna start high. Everybody starts high. I start high. You know. Right. Like I want to know how serious you are. Mm-hmm. You know, if you hit me up for a verse or whatever, like I'm not gonna tell you, oh yeah, a couple hundred, buddy. Yeah. Like. No, you know, like you're gonna pay. That's crazy because I feel like with not negotiating and setting a set price, it's the opposite. You like start lower. I know for a fact I call it Walmarting. Mm. So if I am moving to a new demographic and I have zero clientele, I'm gonna be the cheapest. Oh yeah, in that sense, yeah, because you got to build your value. You know what I mean? You got to put in some work. Like I can't even tell you how many shows I did for free, like how many, you know, like verses I did for free. Like me too. Traveling, man, yeah. Go. Can we talk about what we would get out of a situation that would be of value, like maybe even priceless, right? Like more than money. I know I've assisted with hair on a movie set. The hands that I shook and the doors that were open and the bridges that appeared in my network, priceless. Mm-hmm. Like that experience, what I learned, like everything I learned in just like the few days that I was assisting on set, priceless. I use that still. I don't think I'll ever stop using what I learned in that experience. And I didn't get paid, and I was driving like 2 hours to set. Definitely investing money, not getting paid. That's the thing too. How do you feel about it? Like, what are some things that you get out of it other than lessons? Like, I feel like that's yeah, like what you said. You know, you expand your network. You know, you meet people if you know how to talk. You know, because you could be around these people and not say a word to them and go home, which I've done before too. You know, trial and error. Again, like I've been in certain rooms where I didn't say anything. You know, I was around people that I almost. Like, I wouldn't even say idolized, but I really looked up to, and I didn't say a word, you know, and I went home like, damn, I should have said something. Yeah. So it's like understanding the fine line of like not being overzealous and thirsty, but like, hey, you're gonna know who I am before I leave, you know? Like, that's really what it is. So you could get your takeaways from it. Like, we still have these moments. I don't even want to say it's an L, but like take these L's, you know, where it's like, man, fuck it, like we're gonna go do this and we're not gonna get anything out of it, but we're gonna meet somebody down the line that'll, you know, benefit us. Like, it'll work. That relationship will work somehow. You
have got to do that to get those connections. It's about the connections.
It's just part of the game, man. You're only as strong as your network, so, you know, go meet people.
You are only as strong as your network. Yeah. Keep that in mind whenever it comes to charging and wanting to make money as an artist.
Yeah, you can't just jump out and be like, yeah, I'm this, and this is what I want, you know. There has to be proof. Mm-hmm. There has to be consistency. There has to be, you know, evidence like, hey, there's a reason why I'm charging this, because go back and look at all this that I've done in these years. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why I'm not kicking it with you for free. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I can't. There's 1,000 other things we could be doing.
It's a resume.
Yeah.
Literally. It's a resume.
It is. It is.
It's not on paper, but it's there. It's there. Okay, so we've talked about a team. Mm-hmm. Because I put down partnership. So that's huge. Obviously, if I had like a media team to help me out, we wouldn't have the break in our episode. But you know that stuff comes, and you know I'm just paying my dues and working my way up, figuring it out.
Adapt, adjust, it gets figured out. We're here. Yeah.
But as far as partnership and teams go, what do you feel like is necessary besides having the same vision for a partnership?
That's it.
That's
it. You know, because respect comes into that. You know, like work comes into that. Like having the same vision is like, you know, you understand.
Yeah.
You literally get it. Your ego's out the door. Your mind is literally set on this thing. We all have this common goal to get here.
Yeah.
You know. So
I agree.
Respect ties into that. Love ties into that. You know, like.
Yep. Respect and love and honor.
Yeah. It's going to be a day where you don't like a motherfucker, but it's like, hey, I still love you and we still got this.
Do you remember what we talked about in the first place? Are we still focused on
Are we still here? And you have to check back sometimes. We do it a lot where we're like, hey, like, is this, like, we're still going for this, right? Everybody's good. We're fine. Like, you know, and if not, then cool. Bounce.
That's crucial.
But don't stay quiet the whole time, you know what I mean, and not do shit. So if it's like, hey, we're telling you, hey, look, what do you feel? You know, like, what's going on? Now is your time to really voice yourself and say, hey, I'm 10 toes, or you know what? No, I'm not.
Have you worked with someone who went ahead and kept it quiet, was on the team the whole time, wasn't happy with stuff?
Absolutely.
What happens?
But then that's when we have to have the conversation and just be like, hey, bro.
They don't blow up.
No, because they were quiet the whole time. You know, or if they do, which is I've had both, and if they do, it's like, all right.
I've had someone blow up, and I'm like, whoa, you've been holding that in for a minute. Yeah. Like,
but if you,
well, great, now we know where to go.
But if you haven't been working this whole time, you can't say shit. Like, you have no upper hand on anybody if you were just quiet and bullshitting the whole time. If you were grinding the whole time and staying quiet and everybody else is slacking, then a motherfucker could be like, hey, y'all need to get on your shit. But if you were quiet, just sitting back and not doing anything and just watching time and the world pass you by, we're all picking up your slack and whatever it may be, it's like, bro, then at that point, fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, like, I'm building with the people who want to build, and if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yes.
Nobody has a gun to your head. Leave.
Deuces.
That's it. Peacefully. You know? Love you. If I see you, I won't slap you. But just say this is what you want. When you don't, but when you don't though, and you start moving weird and shit, that's when people.
I might want to slap you when I
might want to slap you.
No,
maybe.
I feel that. No, I've been there. I've been there.
So communication is key. That's the thing you could say for your partners, communicating. You know? Effectively communicating. And that's one thing I had to learn too, because I'm very passionate, and I had to learn how to talk to people.
Well, yeah, I think it's important to check in with ourselves and make sure that we're focused. And if you have a whole team and it's a common vision, then it would make sense that it's crucial to check in with them too.
Yeah. You got to talk to everybody differently too. You got to understand that not everybody's going to accept the same approach.
Yeah,
I'm a person that's like, hey, you know, I like when people are get on this, like, do this, you know?
Yeah.
But then my brother might be like, hey, talk to me, you know, a little more calm. Don't yell at me. Don't do this, you know? This guy might need both. Like, everybody has their own thing, and you have to learn who you're with, KYP. You know,
exactly, and that's crucial, too, because how many times do people just not... Man, I've run into this too many times where people just don't know what they want. They don't even know how they want to be talked to, how they want to work with people, and that's frustrating because you're not going anywhere. That's it, right? But also people who know what they want and they're just, I don't know why anybody would be scared to open up their mouth and say what they want. It's pretty insane to me that I've met a lot of people like that. It's a thing. It's sad to me that it's a thing, period, right? So definitely open up your mouths, guys.
Yeah.
Communication is key. How many times do we hear that? It's like fucking played out. It's a cliche, but it's true.
There's a reason why it's cliche.
Yeah, it's a reason why. I put on here elevation for partnership. I feel like a growth mindset is really big for me in like any kind of partnership, any kind of relationship in my life. I need to see that someone's willing to grow because I have been in business partnerships where we're both on this plane and it just makes sense to come together and it's fucking fire. It's like, and then that's it. There's a plateau. And I, you know, I've wanted to go somewhere with it. And maybe the person just talks about it. And then I start to see and I'm like, oh, okay. I think it's also about learning people too. Have you ever partnered up with people, gotten to know them in different situations, just life happens and you see how they move and you're like, they see how you move and y'all are like, okay, like maybe things are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. And it's healthy, right?
I mean, it can be.
It can be messy.
If you could clearly talk about it, you know, and everybody's able to have this mutual understanding, then it's cool.
And keep emotions out of it. I think especially, you know, in business partnerships, whenever it comes to money, to keep your emotions at bay. I always say business is extremely personal. I don't think business isn't personal. I think that's funny when people are like, it's just business. Like, no, stop it. You understand how much you gotta fuck with someone to do business with them. Yeah. So, of course, there's some personal there, but the business, the money-making aspect of it is to go ahead and check your emotions real quick. You should probably do that in all situations, but...
Yeah, that's one thing I had to learn. I don't really put too much emotion in it no more. I don't expect myself out of people. Yeah. Every now and then I get caught in it and I get emotional about it and I'm like, hey, no.
You don't expect yourself out of people. That's huge.
No.
No. That's huge.
Like, you're a good businessman, but you're a shitty person. Or you're a good engineer, but there's no way I'd be able to fuck with you after this. Like, or you, I don't know, print shirts, do whatever you do, but like, outside of this that we have, I would never want to be involved with you. Right. And you got to learn to separate the two. With me, it was like, if I can't vibe with you personally, then I wouldn't do business with you. But now it's like, there's certain things where I'm like, man, I'll put this shit aside as long as it doesn't hurt me or my brand or compromise us. It's like, oh, how I feel about you is how I feel about you. Like, you're shitty, but like, fool, you make great beats. Like, I'll just hit you up for great beats. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'll never talk to you about anything else in the world besides your beats, you know, or whatever it may be. Like, I'm learning how to just...
accept people for who they are.
Exactly.
Yes, and put them in their place. In your mind. Not put them in their place. Like, so, no. Yeah, so. Just, you know, set them where they need to be. Yeah. That's huge.
It's taking time.
Just to piggyback on what we're talking about right now as far as how to move with partners, how to move with teams, there has to be respect. We already said that. Mm-hmm. And then the karma. So when I put down karma, what I'm thinking of is, personally, I have had clients in my chair before that, in particular, there was a client, he was a producer. He wants people to pay him to make beats, but he wanted to negotiate my prices. And that's not something that I do. And when you come to me, you know that. If you're trying me, you're fucking bold, right? Mm-hmm. So in my head, I'm like, hun, how are you trying to negotiate my prices when you don't want people to do that to you?
Right.
Which, I mean, and now that I'm talking to you and I'm getting to know a little bit more about the music game, that's actually a part of it.
Yeah. No, and the music industry is the shadiest, weirdest shit. It's worse than the streets. It's worse than anything. Like you really have to love it and be crazy about it to do it, because the more you get into it, the further you go, the more you realize, like, damn, I don't want to be around any of these people.
Right.
at all. I started to meet so many like rappers that I looked up to, whatever, and I did business with them or I've been around them, and I'm like, bro, there's no way in fuck I would ever be around this person. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was like talking to you about in the beginning, like how these people have faces. You know what I mean? Like they'll come, they're this person outside in public at these events, at these parties, and then they go home and they do this.
Yes.
We don't do that. So we have a hard time, meeting these people because it's like, damn, bro, like,
yeah, I was
everything that you said was so cool, bro. Like, I listen to your shit every day, whatever, and you be saying some of the realest shit ever. And I listen to you, I fuck with you, but then when I meet you or when I talk to you, you're terrible. Like, you're fake. It's the face.
I think that has a lot to do with integrity and nobility. Yeah. Yeah, I think integrity, nobility, intention. Keeping it real. If you're not keeping it real with others, the chance of you keeping it real with yourself are slim. So if you're not keeping it real with yourself, how can you have any clear intention?
Well, it's all like it's really a facade, man. Like it's not what people think it is. It's not what the consumer thinks it is.
Would you agree with me when I say that if you don't have that integrity and that intention, that nobility, that you're probably just not gonna go far? You might make a little bit of money, but that's not gonna last.
You know what?
Or
this
do
is
you
so
feel
bad.
like
I'm gonna be
about to last
realistic
in your
with you.
energy?
Shitty people go far.
Okay.
Shitty people go far. It's a thing because we used to sit and hope like, oh, this person did so wrong by us, but like eventually something will catch up, But then again, behind closed doors, you never really know what that person is, Like say, I don't know, this rapper, whatever, moved weird with me on a verse and scammed me out some bread, we'll say. And in my head, I'm like, man, I hope this fool gets his or whatever. But I watch him still progress. He's still doing his thing or whatever. And I'm looking like, damn, did karma ever hit him? But behind closed doors, I don't know. Somebody could have ran over his fucking grandma. Anything could have happened, but shitty people do go far. It's a thing. Yeah. We like to have this moral compass of, oh, like if I keep doing right by people, doors will open, and they do sometimes. But you meet shitty people when those doors open. Yeah. Because they fuck people over their whole way up. Mm-hmm. Why stop?
Yeah. Well, fuck them. I think it's important to stay true to yourself.
But you have to stay grounded though.
Whether you got one face or you got multiple.
You have to stay grounded and know, like, okay, I see all this weird shit going on, but I'm staying true to myself at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. We're staying true. We're gonna go home still being us. Like, y'all weird ass motherfuckers can continue to do whatever it is that you're doing, but we're gonna do it our way and we're gonna, do that. But sometimes it does come back. I've seen situations where weird shit's happen and something happens and then they finally get theirs, whatever. But it's like at the same time too, it's like I could sit and watch and wait, or I could keep getting my money too and cooking, and then when I see you, I might have to just take it upon myself and slap the shit out of you. It is what it is.
It is what it is. So let's go ahead and talk about, you said getting like scam out some bread and stuff like that. Let's talk about securing the bag. Let's talk about deposits and stuff like that.
Deposits, contracts, all that now. Like I mean, we're all Before it was just.
Do you think there's ever a time when you should not do that? Because I feel like I only didn't do that before because I was ignorant.
You should always do it.
You should always do it.
Even with the homies, like you should do it. Everybody should know what's expected of them, and vice versa.
With the homies, man. Yeah. If you for real are my friend and you fuck with me, then respect me enough to follow my policy. Okay, cool. Yeah. And if you're just starting out, go ahead and still do the deposits. I don't care.
Start on the right track. Don't sit here.
But you know how much integrity that takes to be able to do that.
Yeah. Start everything the right way. But don't, like, if I'm just starting to do hair, I can't specifically charge, like, whiz-bang prices and ask for whiz-bang deposits. You know what I mean?
No, but I could definitely
start somewhere.
I could charge beginner prices and still
that's
charge
good. That's what I'm
deposit.
saying. Be realistic about it. Start the right way, though. Still get your deposits. Still do everything, but don't.
You cannot start up here whenever you're down here. You definitely, there's no shortcut from A to Z whenever it comes to success, period, especially prices. So let's talk goals. What are some goals of yours? Let's get inspired, man. What are some money making goals of yours in the music industry in particular? Because I know you are a jack of all trades.
Yes, in the music industry, I mean, like, we have certain like milestones that we want to achieve, and we just recently did, but we're like, we have these marks, like, hey, this video has to hit this amount of streams because our last one did this, but now we learned and we know we could do another 100,000 if we, you know, move the money this way. You know what I mean? Like, let's focus on this demographic. Like, so it's just really like our goal is just to fine tune everything that we're learning.
You know what I mean? You said move the money this way. I want to touch on that because I feel like as artists, we don't have a cap on how much we can make.
No,
like our imagination is our limit on how much we can make and how we move our money.
That's why I didn't want to tell you like I want to make 50,000 or I want to make 10,000, because it's like, if I kept grinding for 1 week or something, or even 6 months or a year, I'll be up whatever, but then the next week I could invest all that shit and lose it all and be back at zero.
Right.
You know, and then it happens.
Right.
But you have to just be that mentally in tune to say, yeah, I did just fuck up this bag and now I gotta go get double of what I just lost. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. It's hard being a business owner. You know, shit happens. You have a goal, you're working towards it. Boom, a flood. Oh, this happens. Whatever happens. And then there you are. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I have goals of certain numbers or whatever, but I'm also realistic. Like, there's a chance some shit could happen. Like, anything can happen at any time. But it's like, there's certain things where I'm like, hey, this amount needs to be invested here. We all understand and we know by this day, no matter what happens, if our fucking crib catches on fire, we have this amount of money put here for this. Like,
right.
So the money's always moving.
You know what? That's a good point. You're making me rethink, like, even my goals and stuff like that. Is it fair to say that in general, whenever it comes to setting goals, it's more about being able to move differently and adapt to whatever comes your way?
Okay.